mean, if you want to live a private life and you want to get out of the limelight, to then sell a book and go on Netflix is kind of going against what you're saying you want.
Harry and Meghan have been living by their personal model of rules for me, but not for thee, for a very long time. And they're just discovering that the world has its own set of rules, like the golden one, about treating others as you want to be treated, or the truth will out. And boy, has it. From Hollywood's recent backhand to exposing one of Meghan's biggest lies, to a woman's singular focus, her quest for justice. It's all coming out in the wash. You know, a long time ago, I heard my grandfather advise someone, when you're not the brightest bulb in the pack, don't try to cast shadows. You'll only burn yourself out.
What the hell?
What did he just say? He victimized me. It's because I'm an ethnic woman.
He can't do that. I'll say, wait, you're ethnic?
Welcome, everyone. I hope all of you had a phenomenal weekend, my friends. Every time I read about Harry and Meghan, I always hear a certain children's rhyme in my head. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Now, a lot of people think that rhyme is a riddle about an egg. I've always used it more as a parable about narcissism, how pride goeth before the fall.
Bring back Harry, please, sir. Please. Can you bring him back, sir?
Who?
Harry, your son. Aren't you, sir?
Who?
Now, that is the perfect reply. Whether the crowd was being too loud to be heard by the king, or he was just making a comment in jest. You know that had to feel like a dagger to the heart for Harry and Meghan, especially right now when they're trying to rebuild their image, rebrand themselves as something different than pontificating pustules, and they want to be seen as for-profit philanthropists with a heart. See, these people want to be seen as saints on a soapbox to be worshipped as gods. But did you know that initially in 2020, their Archwell Foundation only raised around $50,000? A lot has changed in 24 months. Archwell's mystery angel, Harry and Meghan's nonprofit foundation, received $10 million from an anonymous donor, whose generous tax-deductible contribution nearly funds the entire charity. One person, where all the legions of supporters Harry and Meghan claim to have. One single mystery donor is picking up the tab. I'm not buying it, nor am I buying what the media is trying to sell. This is Tyler Perry being the bank. I think you and I both know who's funding this fantasy fiasco. So if we follow the trail of destruction laid down by the Meghans, it's going to paint us a picture of exactly what they're doing and where they're headed.
James Corden is a 12-time Emmy winner and the host of The Late Late Show. He's also living proof that a man can move from London to LA and not tell everyone about his frostbitten penis.
Now, that didn't take too long. Who couldn't see that one coming, that Hollywood would bar the doors to them? I mean, Obama didn't invite them to his birthday party. Now you have Oprah Winfrey snub them. This is the woman who was their gateway to a life of get me more. She just held a star-studded 69th birthday bash where she invited a lot of famous people and every prominent has-been, except for the hater and the hustler.
Yeah, we went to the party and it was lit. It was lit.
Not every shark likes remoras. Even in Tinseltown, surprise, some of them are actually disgusted by parasites. But see, they've already seen right through them. And the Meghans, on the path they're on, they're going down the dead-end road. If they don't change course shoes, they're going to be nothing more than street-side clowns, flipping the giant arrow, pointing toward Mad Marvin's mattress barn going out of business sale. But that's their choice. I mean, it's gotten so bad, even South Park has had enough.
You've lived a life with the royal family. You've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book, Wah.
And that's why all of Hollywood's cheers have turned into jeers. They've grown wise to the grift. They see right through them.
The distorted narrative is that we wanted to leave to go and, make money. We were dedicated to a life of service, as is proven by everything that we're doing now with the work that we do.
Yeah, you keep going, Harry. You keep playing that tune. It's not about the money. It's only about the service. And we'll eventually, maybe, might be, never believe you. The $10 million grant to Archwell is listed on the SVCF website and states that it was for general nonprofit support rather than one project. This is unusual, as most SVCF grants are project-specific, such as youth development or education. This means Archwell can use the funds for office expenses, PR, and marketing, and to pay salaries. So what they're saying is that the money can go anywhere, attached to anyone, if you have anything to do with the foundation. That means, okay, we can fuel up the jet and go to Paris as long as we mark it off as a charity ball to raise more money. Did you ever think maybe they used it to buy some discount bulk purchases of a recent book that was released? You know, a lot of companies and charities do it all the time so they can give them away to their donors. But they also do it to cozy up to a lot of magazine newspapers in the hope that they're going to get on their bestseller list. But I think what really got me, what really grabbed my attention was the fact that there's a pattern that's beginning to emerge here. You know, Harry opened up a foundation a little while ago in the UK that has some similar earmarks to it. Travelist Limited was incorporated in April 2020 and spent more than the US dollar equivalent of $410,000 in 2021, according to British public records. Travelist ended that year with just $13,000 in reserves, records show. It's not clear where the cash was spent. Where did it all go? You got all this money changing hands, but nobody knows where the hell it is. So if success is about how a person's name is perceived, then the Meghans are in big trouble. They used to attend $1 million table award shows, but now Harry is about to give a speech in a month in March for $1,000 per ticket for people just to hear him spew nonsense from the company Better Up.
What most people watching this or listening to this will question is, what about my time? Then add on top of that the attention economy of social media, and everything else pulling you in all sorts of different directions as well. Everything that I had, any fuel or any steam in the engine just was like, I was burning the candle at both ends, and it's like boom, and it's like boom, and it's like boom.
That's right. You have a Prince of England sold his family out and his countrymen down the river so he can be a corporate poster boy. You literally have a mental midget without any life skills is the global brand ambassador for emotional health. I'm being serious here. This isn't a joke. I'm not pulling your leg. And of course, we can see by his interviews and by Spare how well he's done with therapy. I mean, this is somebody who was a gentleman who would always look forward and looking into the future.
I always thought to myself, you know, what's the point in bringing up the past? What's the point in bringing up something that's only going to make you sad?
And now he's a man who dredged up the past alongside his wife in order to hawk royal intimacies to Hollywood's highest bidder, all while playing a professional victim while demanding permanent privacy on a public stage.
We want privacy! We want privacy! All right, thanks for having us on the show.
But the hater and the hustler don't realize they don't have time for games anymore. See, they need to go back to counseling. They need a few more coaching sessions because the truth has started to flex its muscles and everything's coming out.
Because I'm from the States, you don't grow up with the same understanding of the royal family. And so while I now understand very clearly there's a global interest there, it was really refreshing because given that I didn't know a lot about him, everything that I've learned about him, I learned through him, as opposed to having grown up around different news stories or tabloids or whatever else. Anything I learned about him and his family was what he would share with me, and vice versa.
See, Harry is missing the facts. They're right in front of his eyes. He's missing the forest for the trees, and he still is adamant trying to clear her name.
After a moment, Meg asked me something about the Queen's assistant. I asked who she was talking about. That man holding the purse? That man who walked her to the door? That wasn't her assistant. Who was it? That was her second son, Andrew. She definitely hadn't Googled us.
Now, between you and me, I believe that Meghan had a dossier file on every member of the royal family, and it was attached right next to her visualization shrine hanging on the fridge. What Meghan wrote about Princess Kate's wedding 2 years before she met Prince Harry and how she dreamt of being a royal rebel rather than Cinderella, debunking claims she knew nothing of royal life. Now, these are Meghan's own words from her own blog, The Tig, back in July of 2014.
Little girls dream of being princesses. I, for one, was all about She-Ra, Princess of Power. And grown women seem to retain this childhood fantasy. Just look at the pomp and circumstance surrounding the royal wedding and endless conversations about Princess Kate.
Like I said, the truth will out. And now we have the D-list Duchess of Grand Illusions has been caught red-handed again. But it really doesn't matter right now because she's about to face the music if justice is done in her half-sister Samantha's defamation case.
Samantha Markle, your half-sister on your father's side, has written a supposedly tell-all book about you.
So I think that says enough.
Every time I hear that Harry and Meghan are in the news, I take a second to reflect. I'm sure a lot of you do. And I go, thank you, God, that I'm blessed with such a great family and so many wonderful friends. Not that my caring is rewarded with abject derision. Samantha Markle, the elder daughter of Thomas Markle, the Duchess's father, is seeking $75,000 in damages over claims Meghan made in her March 2021 interview with Oprah Winfrey, which she has said subjected her to humiliation, shame, and hatred on a worldwide scale. That Oprah interview served to spotlight exactly how Meghan treats one side of her family.
I have to say, if there's one theme, just as a complete outsider paying half attention to Daily Mail headlines, that runs through her life, is she's blowing up families. I mean, she seems like she's really caused a lot of problems in her husband's family.
This is destruction, plain and simple, nothing more. Samantha Markle was punished by Meghan because of what she represents, reality. She doesn't represent the rags to riches story that Duchess Delusion had fabricated and that she's fighting to maintain.
Some people might say that your Instagram-loving bitch wife actually doesn't want her privacy. How dare you, sir? My Instagram-loving bitch wife has always wanted her privacy.
But see, there's a bright note here. The very same case also highlights Samantha's character, solid and true. This wasn't about greed. She didn't ask for millions in damages, which is her right to do so. She deserves it because of all the humiliation she's been put through, all the hurt she's had to endure, how she's been vilified. She didn't. She's trying to simply clear her name. But I think there's a higher truth she's espousing to. She wants to see the facts conquer the lies.
Please welcome the lovely Meghan Markle, everybody. Meghan Markle. Is that one of them swanky designer dresses?
I got all dolled up for it.
Well, it's really working. What did you study at college?
I double majored theater and international relations, and then I went and worked for the U.S. Embassy for a bit. I studied French for 8 years, and now it's deplorable. I can't remember anything.
Well, isn't that special?
And right there, that is Meghan making a public statement. That's not a slip of the tongue. That's not a mistake.
I used to work for the U.S. Embassy in Buenos Aires, and I can't complain about anything. No, it's fun.
Nothing is better than the disinfecting power of sunlight.
You never worked for the embassy. What do you mean you only did a 5-week study program? So our Uncle Mike, who worked for the embassy, as a favor to Dad paid for a 5-week study program. Uncle Mike threw in a letter of recommendation to be kind, even though he'd only met Meghan when she was a baby. And so, well, a 5-week study program that doesn't equate with working at the embassy, which she told Rachel Ray and Craig Ferguson on live television.
Now, if this goes to trial, Harry's going to be in the hot seat, compelled to testify against his own vicious viper just days before she's forced to tell the truth and defend herself. That's going to be a sight to see. But just in case the judge dismisses this and it doesn't go to trial, don't give up on Samantha. She is hell-bent and determined on righting this grave wrong to her family.
Why lie and try to be something you're not when it would have been more impressive, in my opinion, to be strong in who you are?
That's exactly right.
One thing is for certain, Harry's kept busy trying to disappear into the background. Ever since Spare's release, we've all learned exactly who the couple are. But a lot of people have finally discovered who Harry really is. This is a man who slandered his family and then also humiliated his longtime friends simply to fatten their bank account.
I suspected he was referring to my recent loss of virginity. Inglorious episode with an older woman. Quick ride, after which she'd smacked my rump and sent me off to graze. Among the many things about it that were wrong, it happened in a grassy field behind a busy pub.
Well, Sasha Walpole was the other older woman. Now, when you say older woman, that's how he described her in the book. And it's a joke. It was the day before her 19th birthday, and Harry was already 17 years old, so they only had 2 years worth of difference between them. And you know what I like about Sasha? She is a straight shooter, much unlike Harry in this phallus fiasco.
A lot of people might have been tempted to have cashed in on their night of lust with Prince Harry. You never did. Why?
Because he was a friend. He was a friend. I didn't see it like that. You kind of feel protective, not because of who he is, but I'm like that with all my friends.
She is a salt of the earth, married, mother of 2, who has shown more grace, more dignity and decency with 21 years of silence. And right now, during her recent interviews, than Harry could sum up in his fingernail. Think about it. Sasha Walpole's family, they weren't wealthy. She could have cashed in this story at any time to any tabloid and cashed out and go retired in the countryside in a nice cottage. But she didn't. You know what's worse than that? Harry never once gave her a heads up. Say, hey, I hadn't talked to you in 20 years, my friend. We used to know each other. We know we had that night. Well, I'm publishing a book and I'm actually going to reveal that moment. Just so you know, tell your family and friends. Talk to you later, Baz. 0. He said nothing.
Stop. This is a
Do you think he should have had the manners, honestly, to just have let you know it was going to be?
He could have given me a heads up of I'm going to put it in the book. Even if he didn't ask if it was okay, just at least give me an option of what to do about it.
A warning.
Yeah, pretty much.
All of Sasha's values and actions as an Englishwoman serve to highlight the fact that nobility isn't something only born of blood by birthright. It's something you can build, fought for, and earned by character and tough choices. Every time Sasha shines, it also frames Harry as nothing but a pathetic lowlife. Every one of her positive actions shows him to be the complete opposite. You know what? I have to admit, I really love Sasha's style.
Do you think he's traded up from you or down?
Definitely down.
Now, here's the big question. Will the man baby and his wannabe bully ever learn the lesson that you can't humiliate your way to wealth and fame on the backs of other people without it ricocheting back on you big time? I don't think so. Because you look at the compass heading right now, the Meghans have already crossed the point of no return.
If you're invited to the coronation, will you come?
There's a lot that can happen between now and then. There's a lot to be discussed, and I really hope that they are willing to sit down and talk about it.
And what was the king's brilliant answer to his demands? King Charles won't have time for coronation meeting with Prince Harry. Charles is reportedly too busy organizing his big day for a sit-down with Harry, while William doesn't feel he owes his brother any kind of apology. You gotta say, that is beautiful. So Harry's not gonna get his UN conference sit-down that he wanted with Pa nor Willie, King Charles or Prince William. It's not gonna happen. But it has been reported in certain papers that the Meghans have already been invited, but there are certain guidelines they have to abide by. One, they're not gonna be on the royal balcony. They're not gonna be able to participate in the coronation, nor will they be able to give any speech. And lastly, any conversation they have with any members of the family will be strictly limited to talks about the weather. I like that. But I just don't trust the couple. I mean, they are not capable, at least so far in their lives, of not being selfish. I can see them trying to ruin the king's big day and all the UK and the Commonwealth people's one chance for this beautiful celebration this year. See, you remember after Spare was released, Harry had reported that he had enough material for 2 books. There's a lot of speculation that he's going to release part 2 about 48 hours before the coronation. So, here's my word of advice for Harry. When you're hanging on a cliff by your fingernails, don't start slinging mud. You're going to fall. Now, if you found this video was enjoyable and you found value in it, hit the subscribe button, push the notification bell, and leave your thoughts and questions in the comments down below. And remember that we never bow down, we never bend the knee. Always forward.
Hi.